myself I wouldn't cry until I saw your hands shaking the way they used to shake around me. The church smelled like old wood and perfume, white candles flickering against June. Everybody smiling in expensive clothes, like love always ends beautifully. Your mother hugged me near the door, said, "You look so happy for him, God. Some lives deserve awards." I took my seat in the back row aisle, far enough to hide my face a while, close enough to watch you say forever to somebody who wasn't me. And isn't it strange how the heart survives, even while breaking quietly in real time? Now there are white roses in the back row, tears falling where nobody knows. You look at her the way you once looked at me, and every promise underneath those lights cut softer but deeper tonight, 'cause losing you suddenly feels brand new again. Brand new again. She looks beautiful walking toward you, like she had no idea what you two were walking into. Not the distance, not the silence, not the little ways love changes shape. I wondered if you still hold her close during thunderstorms and sleepless nights, if you'll still kiss her forehead softly after every pointless fight. You used to do that with me back when we still believed love alone could carry everything. Maybe nobody warns us that memories don't disappear, they just sit quietly inside songs, waiting for one bad moment. Now there are white roses in the back row, and your voice trembling through your vows, while I sit frozen in borrowed grace, trying not to fall apart. You place the ring upon her head, and somewhere inside me an old future dies. I remember dancing in your apartment, barefoot at 2 a.m. You spun me around the kitchen to some cheap radio love song. You stopped suddenly, touched my face, and whispered, "I'm gonna marry you someday." Funny how young hearts speak, like fate signed contracts. Just somebody I loved, you were the life I pictured growing old beside. And watching you love someone else feels like attending the funeral of a dream that once breathed. Some heartbreak doesn't scream. Sometimes it stands politely and applauds. And applauds. You're listening to 98.3 FM, where lonely hearts stay awake together. Every night at 12:03, I slide my headphones over me, red on air glowing in the dark, like a tiny artificial heart. Callers pour their stories through the line, cheating lovers, almost wrong timing. And I give advice in a velvet voice, like my own world isn't falling apart. You used to sit behind the station glass, making stupid faces while songs played past God. Back then this booth felt holy, now it just echoes. Funny how the girl who fixes broken strangers still can't figure out how to stop missing you. Now it's frequency hearts after midnight, sad songs swimming through neon light, and every record spinning slow feels like another way to say your name. I talk about love like I understand, while whiskey sweats beside my head. And somewhere in this sleeping city, I hope you're listening too. Listening too. You left your denim jacket in my chair, still smells like cigarettes and cold night air. Some evenings I almost call your number, before remembering you changed it. The new intern asked me yesterday why all my playlists sound heartbreak shaped. I laughed and blamed the weather, like adults do when truth feels dangerous. At 2 a.m. the request gets sadder, truck drivers, waitresses, insomniacs. One man said, play something for the one that got away. I almost answered, I already am. Because every song tonight somehow leads back to us, like love leaves fingerprints on everything it touches. So here come frequency hearts after midnight, slow dancing alone in apartment lights, people holding ghosts like they still breathe beside them. And maybe that's what I've become, a woman speaking softly to someone gone, still saving space in every love song for your return. Remember driving nowhere after work, city lights reflecting on your shirt. You tap rhythms against the steering wheel, like music could protect us from real life. You said, if we ever fall apart, promise me one thing, keep singing. God, I hate that I kept that promise. hold the ones you love closer. Some songs don't get a second verse. We used to think half a tank of gas could take us anywhere. I met you working graveyard shifts at a diner off Route 66. You came in every Friday night, hand stained black from engine lights. You'd sit booth 7 by the jukebox glow, always smelling like gasoline and smoke. Tip too much and flirt too hard, like heartbreak hadn't happened to you yet. One night the rain came crashing down, power flickered all across the town. You stayed to close and help and mop the floor, and kissed me beside the soda machine. God, you tasted like bad decisions and the beginning of my whole life. We were young enough to call chaos romance, and broke enough to make dreams sound expensive. It was quarter tanks and cheap perfume, kissing under motel room moons, 2 small town hearts trying to feel larger than life. You pull me close in your pickup truck, radio loud while the road blurred up, and for a little while the future didn't scare me, didn't scare me. You kept a toolbox in the backseat, I kept spare shoes for double shifts. We counted dollars in coffee cans, laughing like struggle made us stronger. But bills came faster than paychecks, and hope gets thin when people get stressed. You started drinking after work, I started sleeping less and less. We fought over nothing every night, dirty dishes and neon lights, until one evening you punched the wall right beside my head. The silence afterward still lives inside me. And that's the thing about love, nobody tells you at 19. Sometimes the same hands that hold you safe can still make you afraid. Still it's quarter tanks and cheap perfume, memories trapped inside this room. I hate no part of me still misses who you used to be. You cried saying you changed this time, I cried pretending I believed the lie. While thunder rolled outside, like heaven knew we were done. Last winter I saw your truck downtown, different girl laughing beside you now. And God, for one jealous second, I almost hated her, until I saw the way you looked at her, gentle, like maybe you finally became just the lesson before forever arrives. They scream my name tonight, but somehow I've never felt more alone. We started in bars nobody remembers. 3 songs a night for free, tequila and rent. You'd carry my keyboard through winter weather, telling everyone one day she'll be famous. Back then we'd split motel beds, eat vending machine dinners instead, and laugh like struggling together made us invincible somehow. Then one song climbed the radio charts, suddenly everybody wanted parts. Managers, cameras, interviews, people touching everything we built. And success comes fast, like a beautiful car crash. You don't notice what you're losing until it's already gone. Now it's gold records and empty hallways, flashbulbs lighting up lonely days. The whole world sings my songs tonight, but you don't anymore. I'm dancing under $1,000,000 lights by your side, or the bed stays cold at night. Funny, I got everything we dreamed, except you. Except you. You hated all the after parties, said everybody spoke in fake smiles. I told you that was just the business. You told me I was disappearing, maybe you were right. I stopped calling from hotel rooms, stopped noticing your silent moods. You stopped waiting up for me, and somewhere love became scheduling. One night in Chicago after the Encore, I called and heard your voice crack through. You whispered softly, I miss who you were, before strangers own pieces of you. God, that line still follows me everywhere, because ambition tastes sweet until it costs too much, and applause means nothing when the right person stops clapping. Still it's gold records and empty hallways, champagne tears and runaway days. Every headline says I'm living dreams. Why does it feel like losing? You used to hold me after bad nights, now security escorts me through spotlights. And everybody wants my body, but nobody knows my heart. I saw you last December backstage, standing awkward near the exit gate. You looked older, sad somehow, like loving me exhausted you. I almost ran into your arms, almost begged you not to leave again, but the stage manager called my name, and real life interrupted us. fades the second I walk backstage alone. The crowd still screams every night, but your silence is louder. December always brings you back somehow. The mall was closing early Christmas Eve, store lights dimming quietly. Fake snow falling through the central hall, like every year since we were young. I was buying gifts I couldn't afford, same old bookstore, second floor. Then I heard somebody laugh behind me, and my whole body remembered first. You wore that brown coat I once stole, back when your pocket still felt like home. Little lines around your eyes now, time writes on everybody eventually. You smiled slow, like heartbreak softened into memory, and said, "Still hate winter? God, I almost kissed you right there." Funny how one voice can unlock whole years, like love never really leaves, it just sleeps somewhere quiet. Now it's last Christmas at the arcade, old sparks under holiday haze. Two ex-lovers standing beneath neon snow, trying not to fall again. The same cheap carousel still spins, like time forgot to move since then. And every blinking red and green light feels dangerously nostalgic. Dangerously nostalgic. We walked past storefronts, hand in pocket, talking carefully around old topics. You mentioned Seattle, I mentioned my divorce, both pretending we were fine now. Remember how we'd skip our shifts just to drive through neighborhoods lit, ranking Christmas decorations like that somehow mattered deeply. Back then your father was still alive, back then we still believed in trying. Back then forever felt close enough to touch without fear. Maybe that's adulthood, learning memories hurt beautifully, because nothing golden ever stays untouched. Till it's last Christmas at the arcade, two tired hearts acting unafraid. You brush snowflakes from my hair like muscle memory returning. The choir music filled the hall, and suddenly I missed it all. The fights, the kisses, and whispered softly, I looked for you in everyone. God, some sentences arrive too late. Some loves don't return to stay. They return to remind you who you used to be. Some summers don't end. They just keep replaying in your head forever. You work the ticket stand by the Ferris wheel, cut off sleeves and cheap sex appeal. Every girl in town stared when you walked by. Somehow, you looked at me. I spilled my soda on my favorite shoes, trying way too hard to look cool. You laughed and handed me your jacket, like we'd known each other years already. But July tasted like freedom, cherry cola and gasoline. We climbed fire escapes after midnight, watching headlights blur beneath our feet. You made mixtapes from radio songs, writing little notes all along. Track 7 sounds like your eyes, God, nobody talks like that anymore. We were young enough to think feelings stay forever. Before life teaches you, nothing does. It was Ferris wheels and fire escapes, kissing while the whole town stayed awake. Two reckless hearts lit brighter than the carnival lights. You held my waist beneath fireworks, like the universe finally worked. And every summer after you felt a little colder, a little colder. Then came September with harder edges. You got accepted out to Texas. I smiled like distance sounded easy, while panic bloomed beneath my ribs. At first, we'd write each other daily, long messy letters folded carefully. Your cologne trapped inside the pages, like proof you still existed somewhere. But phone calls shortened over time, new friends, new bars, new city lights, and every silence stretched longer than either one of us admitted. One night, you missed my birthday call, said, baby, things are crazy here. And something inside me understood, love was beginning to leave. Nobody tells you the saddest part of growing up is realizing timing can ruin real love. Still I went back to that carnival last year, smaller somehow, sadder, like magic losing confidence. The Ferris wheel still turns slowly, but nobody looked immortal anymore. And I swear for 1 second I saw us there again. You in that denim jacket, me still believing love stayed young forever. Your memory burns gold in me. Maybe first love never heals completely. Maybe it isn't supposed to. Maybe some people exist forever inside one perfect season. And every time fireworks bloom, still look for you first. We thought love was enough. Funny how young people always do. You picked me up outside my waitress shift in that black Camaro you couldn't afford. Hair slicked back like a movie scene, confidence louder than common sense. We drove all night through desert heat, sharing cigarettes and backseat dreams. You said, let's get married in Vegas, and somehow that sounded romantic instead of insane. The chapel had fake gold angels, plastic flowers and velvet walls. An Elvis impersonator humming softly while we promised forever, laughing. God, we looked beautiful under bad decisions. Back then love felt endless, like neon against the dark, bright enough to blind us from reality. It was chapel lights and roulette hearts, burning reckless from the start, to runaway souls, betting everything on passion. We danced through casino floors at dawn like heartbreak wasn't invented yet, and every kiss tasted dangerous, like luck running out slowly. Running out slowly. At first it felt electric, tiny apartment mattress on the floor, Chinese takeout and MTV, making poverty look glamorous somehow. It's been me around the kitchen while old love songs filled the room, and for a while we almost made struggle look romantic. But reality arrives quietly, unpaid bills and jealousy. You hated every man who looked my way. I hated how drinking changed changed your face. One night at 3 a.m. you punched a hole beside the bathroom mirror. Glass raining across cheap tile floors like our future shattering early. And isn't it tragic how some people love deeply but still don't know how to love gently? Still it's chapel lights and roulette hearts, living fast and falling hard. You'd hold me crying after every fight, swearing we'd survive ourselves. But promises sound beautiful at midnight, different in daylight, and forever got smaller every time we hurt each other. Last month I passed through Vegas again. The chapel's now a souvenir shop, and somehow that felt fitting, because love like ours was never built for ordinary years. It was built for sparks, for smoke, for moments too bright to last. Now it's chapel lights and roulette hearts, ghosts glowing beneath gold stars. And even after all the damage done, part of me misses the chaos. You were youth in human form, wild enough to feel immortal. And maybe that's why forgetting you feels impossible some nights. Some loves don't fail because they weren't real. They fail because they burned too fast. It's strange how a house can stay full while a marriage slowly empties. The dishwasher hummed like distant traffic, kids asleep upstairs by 10. You sat smoking near the patio door, staring hard at absolutely nothing. I asked, "Long day?" You answered, "Yeah." And somehow that one tired syllable said more than whole conversations used to. Remember when we'd stay awake till sunrise, talking barefoot on the kitchen tiles? Now we speak mostly through routines, lunch boxes, bills, and grocery lists. God, nobody warns you that love can die politely. Not with screaming, not with slammed doors, just two people forgetting how to reach each other. Now it's kitchen lights at 2 a.m., two tired hearts pretending again. We move around each other carefully, like strangers sharing borrowed space. Your coffee cup beside the sink still somehow makes my chest sink, because I miss you even while you're standing here, standing here. Last winter we tried counseling, soft voices in beige rooms, healing things. The therapist asked when we stopped touching. Neither of us knew the answer. You used to kiss my neck while cooking, pull me me close during stupid movies. Now weeks pass without accidental contact, like our bodies signed separate treaties. I found old photos in the hallway drawer, young faces laughing on apartment floors. Back when we looked at each other like survival depended on it. Maybe it did, because real love isn't dramatic. Most of the time it's small, and maybe that's why we didn't notice it slipping away. Still, it's kitchen lights at 2 a.m. Old promises wearing thin again. Your wedding ring catches the fridge light like a warning signal in the dark. We built a life that looked beautiful from the outside looking in. Funny how appearances survive long after feelings don't. Tonight you cried for the first time in years. Said I don't know how we got here, and God, that nearly broke me, because neither do I reached for your hand instinctively. You let me hold it silently, and for one impossible second I felt 25 again. Forgive this, because beneath all the distance and doubt, there was real love here once. Some relationships don't explode, they slowly dim like porch lights before dawn. The sea always stole you from me, and somehow I loved you enough to wait anyway. You walked into Murphy's Harbor Bar, salt on your jacket, eyes full of storms. Every sailor in town drank loud, but you carried silence differently. I was singing old radio love songs under red lights and cigarette smoke. You watched me like somebody homesick, trying not to fall apart. After closing, we'd sit by the pier, sharing whiskey no one could afford. You tell stories about foreign cities like postcards stitched beneath your skin. God, I hated how badly I wanted to follow you everywhere. But loving a man married to oceans means learning goodbye before hello finishes. Now it's harbor lights and empty docks, rain falling on rusted locks. You leave with the tide while I stay separate habits. We'd spend whole weekends tangled together, like touch could stop time moving. But years turned rough around the edges, distance carving quiet trenches. You missed birthdays, missed Christmases, missed little moments that mattered most. One winter my mother got sick. I needed you here more than ships. But somewhere near the coast of Greece, you were just another voice through static. And I know you cried hearing me cry, that almost made it harder. Because sometimes love is real and still not enough to build a life for us. Still it's harbor lights and empty docks, your old coat hanging by the clock. Like part of me believes you walk through that door tonight. You promised one more voyage then done. Funny how sailors always say that, and every storm report on TV still makes my stomach drop. Last April I watched the harbor freeze, fishing boats trapped in silver seas. And for the first time in years, I imagined life without waiting. No midnight calls, no tearful departures, no loving somebody half owned by the horizon. But then your letter came. I dream about you every night, and every ocean feels smaller than your absence. God, you always knew exactly where to hurt me. Now it's harbor lights and empty docks, two stubborn hearts against the clock. And maybe we'll spend forever meeting and losing each other. But every time you return to shore, I still run to you like before. Because some loves aren't peaceful, they're tidal. And the sea keeps taking you, but it never takes all of you. We spent more nights under fluorescent lights than under stars. You work 30 floors above me, tailored suits and tired eyes, always carrying too many folders, like the world depended on deadlines. I first saw you near the copy room, loosening your tie around midnight. The whole office already empty, except ambition and us. You asked if I wanted coffee. I said only if it's terrible. You laughed harder than the joke deserved, and somehow that became everything. Back then we thought working late together was romantic instead of lonely. Now it's elevators, ashtrays, and blue neon. between meetings. You'd kiss me softly in parking garages, like we were hiding from our own lives. And every skyline looked beautiful as long as you were beside me. Beside me. At first we balanced everything somehow. Weekend drives out past downtown, cheap wine, tangled sheets, Sunday mornings. Before promotions changed the weather, you started flying out to London. I started managing new branches. Phone calls became calendar appointments. Love reduced to available hours. One night I waited at Le Jardin, red dress to untouched drinks. You called from Tokyo apologizing, static swallowing half your words. I told you it's okay, but the waitress avoided my eyes like she knew loneliness by sight. Funny how success looks glamorous from far away, but up close it mostly sounds like empty apartments. Still it's elevators, ashtrays, and blue neon. Your side of the closet hanging untouched. We built careers like skyscrapers, while our relationship quietly collapsed. You said this is temporary, but temporary turned into years. And somewhere between airports and promotions, we misplaced us. Last month I found our old office badge photos, young faces trying too hard to look serious. God, we look terrified of failure and completely fearless about love. What happened to those people? The ones making out in stairwells, the ones stealing weekends in cheap hotels, the ones convinced passion could survive exhaustion. Now it's elevators, ashtrays, and blue neon, rain streaking down penthouse windows, and every achievement feels quieter without you there to call first. Maybe we won the wrong battles. Maybe ambition is just loneliness with better lighting, because all these city lights still can't replace your arms. Some people lose love chasing a future, then wake up inside it alone. Some people enter your life like destinations. You arrived like weather. I met you outside a motel in Nevada. Vacancy sign buzzing blood red through the dark. You were leaning on a dusty Cadillac, like somebody waiting for nowhere. I was halfway to Arizona, running from a marriage already dead. Car packed full of winter clothes and old versions of myself. You asked if I had a light, I said, only bad ones. You grinned slow like midnight trouble, and suddenly the whole desert felt alive. Maybe lonely people recognize each other instantly, like mirrors passing briefly on empty highways. It was vacancy signs and burning maps, two damaged souls not looking back. We drove through the dark, like motion itself could save us. Your hand resting warm on my knee, old love songs leaking from cracked speakers, and every mile between us and yesterday felt holy for a while. Ooh, holy for a while. You told me about New Orleans nights, bar fights, broken bands, unfinished lives. I told you nothing at first. Pain sounds heavier out loud. We slept through blazing afternoons, curtains closed in motel rooms, bodies tangled like temporary promises, neither one brave enough to define. One morning near Santa Fe, you traced scars along my wrist and whispered softly, who hurt you this deeply? God, I almost answered honestly, because some wounds don't heal with time, they just become quieter roommates. Still it's vacancy signs and burning maps, cheap motel soap and cigarette packs. You kissed me like tomorrow wasn't guaranteed, and maybe it wasn't. You made loneliness feel smaller until the morning reality returned. You heading west, me heading anywhere but home. At a gas station outside El Paso, you stood silent near the payphone glow, eyes carrying that familiar sadness people get before goodbye. You said, if we keep going together, we'll ruin this. And I hated you because you were probably right. Stopped running from myself. Some people become home, even if you only stay briefly. heavy, beautiful from a distance. You came into the rink every Thursday night, after the crowds and fluorescent lights, still carrying that old hockey bag like glory days fit inside a canvas. The kids all knew your name somehow, though your broken knee slowed you down. You'd laugh it off with tired charm, like pain was just another season. I worked the counter near the entrance gate, hot chocolate gloves and change trays. But every time you'd skate alone, the whole rink felt strangely cinematic. Blue eyes glowing beneath exit signs, your reflection splitting under white light. God, lonely people always look beautiful in places built for echoes. You smiled carefully, like somebody recovering from a life that didn't happen the way it should. Now it's blue eyes under exit signs, two bruised hearts killing time, slow dancing in circles while the speakers play old love songs. You pull me close with freezing hands, like winter couldn't touch us then. And every snowstorm after midnight felt softer beside you. Beside you. You told me about Chicago crowds, packed arenas, screaming loud. Back when your body still obeyed you, back before doctors changed everything. I told you about my ex-husband, how silence slowly hollowed him. Funny how strangers confess easier under dim lights and tired weather. At first we healed each other gently, Sunday mornings, cheap TV, you fixing things around my apartment, me pretending not to fall too hard. But hurt people carry winters inside them, even during warmer days, because love after heartbreak feels different, less innocent, more fragile still. It's blue eyes under exit signs, your old jacket hanging beside mine, and every little touch between us felt borrowed from another life. You'd wake up shaking some nights, ghosts from injuries and old fights, and I'd hold you quietly till the darkness loosened. One February evening, you sat silent in my kitchen, snow piling heavy outside windows, like the whole world holding its breath. Then you whispered, I don't know how to stay when everything I loved before disappeared. God, I understood that too well. So I kissed you slowly, like people do when they're trying to convince somebody not to leave. maybe that's enough. Some love stories don't arrive loudly. Sometimes they glide in quietly, like skates across empty ice. Los Angeles teaches you something cruel. The city never stops loving your ghost, even after it stops loving you. The mansion set above Mulholland Drive, empty rooms and expensive silence, faded movie posters in gold frames, like memories trying too hard to survive. I still kept the pool lights glowing blue, though nobody swam there anymore. Habits outlive happiness sometimes, that's what aging quietly teaches you. Then you arrived with your little tape recorder, young smile, wrinkled notebook pages, sent to interview the actress everybody used to want. God, you looked at me like I was still worth listening to. And lonely women confuse attention for resurrection every single time. Now it's swimming pools and camera flashes, old beauty fading slow as ashes. Hollywood keeps calling my name long after love stopped answering. You sat beside me beneath palm tree lights, talking softly through California nights, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel invisible. Invisible. You asked about the actor I once loved, the one who died young and beautiful. America cried for weeks on television, while I cried alone in hotel rooms. He used to dance with me in kitchens, barefoot, drunk on cheap champagne, before cocaine and studio contracts turned passion into tabloid headlines. I told you fame is just loneliness, photographed from flattering angles. You laughed nervously, like young people do around sadness. Then one rainy evening, after too much wine, you touched my hand across the table, not out of pity, out of wanting, that nearly destroyed me. Because women like me learn eventually that youth is the currency nobody refunds. Still it's swimming pools and camera flashes, lipstick ghosts and cigarette ashes. You kissed me like age meant nothing, even while time screamed otherwise. The city shimmered gold below us, like broken dreams refusing death. And somewhere between midnight and sunrise, I started hoping again. But hope gets dangerous at my age. One morning you admitted softly you've been offered a job in New York. Bigger stories, brighter futures, a life untouched by my ruins. I smiled gracefully, like actors actresses are trained to do, while my whole chest folded inward behind perfect posture. Maybe you loved the tragedy of me, but for one beautiful season, that was almost enough. Hollywood never sleeps, it just forgets people slowly. Some people become memories slowly. You became one train ride at a time. I first saw you in Garden Nord, winter coat, cigarette smoke, reading poetry beneath flickering lights like heartbreak dressed expensive. My train to Rome had been delayed. You offered coffee while we waited, steam rising between our tired faces, like something cinematic beginning quietly. You spoke about Berlin in autumn, jazz bars and unfinished novels. I lied and said I wasn't lonely. You lied beautifully too. By sunrise we were kissing softly near platform 7 under rain. Two strangers acting like destiny had finally learned our names. And maybe love feels strongest when life still leaves room for mystery. Now it's platform tickets and scarves, last-minute kisses beside moving cars, two restless hearts, always arriving, always leaving. You held me tightly before departures, like touch could pause the world a while. And every station after you started feeling colder, colder. For 2 whole years we lived in fragments, postcards, phone calls, scattered weekends. Paris in spring, Vienna in snow, Amsterdam hotel rooms glowing gold. Nobody knew us completely. Maybe that's why it worked so long. Real life stayed waiting outside while we existed inside movement. But distance changes tenderness slowly. Missed trains turned into missed birthdays, and every goodbye at the platform started hurting more than loving. One night in Prague you finally whispered, I don't know how to build a future with somebody always disappearing. God, I had no defense against honesty, because romance survives beautifully in temporary places until ordinary difficult questions. Still it's platform tickets and red scarves, perfume fading inside sleeping cars. We loved each other deeply, just never in the same direction. You wanted roots beneath your feet, I kept choosing motion over peace. And somewhere between departures, we lost the version of us that laughed easily. Last year I passed through Zurich alone, saw your reflection in every window. Every stranger in a dark wool coat became you for half a second. Funny how memory edits people. You no longer feel real, you feel filmed, like an old foreign movie I once watched too young and understood too stars. And even now I still check crowds instinctively. Maybe some people aren't meant to stay, maybe they're meant to awaken parts of you. Because after loving you, I never feared the world again. Call. Please don't forget your heart on the platform. "30,000 people waiting, and somehow, the only person making me nervous was you." We used to own the summer charts, your leather jacket, my wild heart. Every radio station in America played us like a national obsession. Back then we'd write songs in motel rooms, fight all day, then harmonize by two. God, chemistry is dangerous when microphones make it immortal. The tabloids called us perfect lovers. They never printed the screaming matches or how success sharpened every flaw, till touching felt like starting fires. But on stage, everything still sounded beautiful, even while we were falling apart. Now it's two microphones and a broken Encore, old love bleeding through familiar chords. 30,000 strangers singing along to wounds they never saw. You still look at me before the chorus hits, same way you did in '86. And for one impossible moment, the damage disappears. After the breakup came the silence, separate albums, separate lives. In a of you are circling like vultures, asking who destroyed who first. I said your ego got too heavy. You said fame changed everything in me. Truth is, we were just too young to survive becoming legends. Years passed in flashing headlines, marriages, divorces, rehab nights. Still every time I heard our duet, my whole body remembered yours. Then last month the reunion offer came, one final show for charity. I almost said no, until I heard you'd already agreed. Funny how history can pull two people back together long after pride says down. Still it's two microphones and a broken encore. Old ghosts pacing dressing room floors. You hand me water before the second set, like muscle memory surviving war. And when our voices finally collide, the crowd erupts like lost time revive. But nobody out there understands how hard this is. Right before the final song, you grabbed my wrist backstage, eyes softer than I remembered, and whispered, no matter what happened, you were the love of my life. God, why do the right words always arrive years late? Now it's two microphones and a broken encore. One last dance beneath the arena stars. And even if this night ends forever, part of me will stay here with you. Because nobody ever knew me deeper, nobody ever hurt me cleaner. And every standing ovation tonight feels smaller than your goodbye. Some songs never truly end, they just wait for older voices.